Well, I'm Bill McDonald for those that may not know who I am, if that's even possible, Linda.
Yeah.
I'm talking to my good friend, and we were just reminiscing here, and I decided to record it. We were talking about when we first met. It was on Southwest Airlines, if we can mention that name commercially here, but Southwest Airlines.
Yes, we can.
Around 2003, I think I was in the middle of filming a documentary, and we were going all across the country in a Huey helicopter, and Southwest Airlines was one of our sponsors. And so I was taking a late flight from Phoenix, I believe, or someplace, or Texas. And there was a flight attendant on board, and that was Linda. And we started talking, and I found out that she was a firewalker, which just really impressed me. It ended up landing in Vegas, I think, or someplace, and it had a cracked windshield, the aircraft, so they had to get everybody off the aircraft. And it was just basically you and the pilot, which was Jeff Senor, I think.
Yes.
And and there was another flight attendant, and there was only 3 passengers that was going to go on to Sacramento. So it was kind of odd. We all got thrown in together. So we spent several hours together, and that's how we formed this relationship. It's some good friendships, and Jeff's still a friend of both of ours. And that led to me making a statement. And this is where we're going to get into this thing. I made a statement because you contacted me by email, and you said you were having a dinner party with a select guests. I don't know, they had about 10 people coming or something. You had Gary Bibb, a Native American shaman, I guess he is, or whatever, ceremonial chief or something. And he was a good friend of ours later on, but at that time I didn't know who he was. And you had some people from some new age groups, and you had somebody, an author or something. You had a real neat group of people, but you had Dr. Emoto was the guest. And you're going to tell us all about him in a minute. But that's where I finally got to meet the whole group and Dr. Emoto, which led to a trip to later on. I guess it was that week or the next week or something. We went to the water conference that the Native Americans have there in Arizona. So only thing I'm going to say in your introduction is this: you're a firewalker, you're a yoga instructor, various kinds of meditations and things. There you go.
That was a 48-foot firewalk. That was on my 48th birthday, April 3rd. And the firewalk was actually 20 feet long. So I turned around at the end of it and walked back across it and back halfway through it. And then they shot this photograph at the 48-foot. That was Tali Burkan at the Firewalker Institute of Research and Education, who was my instructor and certifier. So that was a long time ago. That was April of 2004. Then I met Dr. Emoto on April 28th of 2005. And on June 5th, 2005, I graduated from the first Hado school in the United States.
Now, a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah, okay. So I first heard, I didn't know anything about Dr. Emoto, and I first heard about him when my friend Dennis and I went down to the college district in Tempe next to ASU, in this little eclectic theater. And they were showing this kind of, off-Broadway kind of film, which made a bigger hit in the world of New Age movies. And it was called What the Bleep Do We Know? It was about a photographer, professional photographer who was having emotional problems and was given an assignment that was very difficult emotionally for her. She was underground. There's an underground in Portland, kind of like a subway, but there's stores and stuff. And she was in the underground, and she saw these huge glass frames standing on the concrete with photographs that Dr. Emoto had made. And from freezing water after he's put words or photographs or music to it, and the water changed form. There was a huge lesson for her, a very huge emotional healing. It's a very good movie. I'm sure you can get it online now for no cost. What the Bleep Do We Know? Where his work was first presented here in the United States. When I saw this movie, I said to my friend Dennis, I said, I am going to be working with that man. And he chuckled at first, and then he realized, oh, this is Linda. It's going to happen. I have this weird way of just, once I have this weird feeling that comes in, I know it's going to happen. Like the first time I saw firewalking was at Unity Church of Mesa. And it was Edwina Gaines. She's a senior citizen, white-haired, pretty lady, talking about prosperity and abundance inside the Unity Faith. And she threw a picture up on her PowerPoint exactly like this, only she's wearing white dress and she's holding the skirts up so they don't catch on fire. And I'm sitting there in the pews going, no way am I ever going to do that. And, you know, never say never, because God goes, really? Yeah, bring it on. So full circle, I end up going to some seminars for my daughter. She was in a specialty boarding school, and they required parents to go through different seminars, the same ones the children are going through. So during that period of time, this young 18-year-old girl said, my greatest fear that I want to overcome in the next 6 weeks is fire. And she said, Linda, will you do a fire walk with me? And I went, what do you mean? Just, will you hold my hand and walk across fire and coals, hot coals with me? And I went, sure. And all of my coworkers, I was staffing this seminar, and she left the ballroom and they all looked at me and went, did you hear yourself, Linda? And I went, yeah. So I was terrified. And if finally April came along, or not April, it was February came along. It was cold and we were in a corral and full of frozen manure. Thank God. I walked on that fire. I walked on those coals. It's about a 8-foot walk, and 8 to 10 foot walk. And I got across it, and I did it a second time. And then she was the last, and there's about 35 people there, and she was the last to walk it. She was terrified. I went and hugged her, and she said, I'm ready. And I went, okay. So we held hands. She went first. I went behind her, holding her hand. She was like this with her hand behind her. And we walked the coals a third time. And the gentleman that I was dating at the time, he said, Linda, you need to go to firewalking school and become an instructor, because you could so present all of the material that this man presented today way better than he does. And it was his first time instructing a firewalk. And I had already made the decision before he ever brought it up. During the second walk, I went, I'm going to do this. I went, am I insane? Probably, but that's okay, because it helps people that I'm insane. So back to Dr. Emoto. That was another thing where I said, I'm going to meet this man. So they announced, I went to a talk with, it was at the Celebrity Theater, and they were mentioning that a future speaker was coming, and it was Dr. Emoto, and I went, oh yeah, this is it. And so he shows up, and I get a seat in the 5th row behind from the stage. And this is a theater in the round. It's an amazing theater, and every seat's good seat. So when I sat down, this woman in the very front row, she turns around. Oh no, no, I take all that back. That's later. I went with Dennis. Dennis was my buddy for a long time. I went with Dennis, and we listened to Dr. Emoto talk about all of his photographs. He's hundreds of thousands of photographs that he's taken of water, that he's exposed water to music, to photographs, to words, many languages, and pictures of places, even verses from the Bible. He hasn't published much of that. That's pretty much private stuff for us to understand, but where truth and lie is in the Bible. And he didn't want to publish that because it would be a war. So he didn't want to do that. But it's been very interesting. And they, on the flyer, when we came into the theater, there was a flyer they handed us, and on the back it said, First United States Auto Instructor School. Bam, I was committed. Didn't say anything to Dennis yet. And then like halfway through, he took a little break. They had a technical thing going on. And I said, Dennis, I'm doing this. I am going to be in that class. Regardless of cost, I'm going to be in that class. He goes, yeah, I know you will.
Now, what exactly is that Hado school?
Hado is an ancient, it's over 4,000-year-old word, a Japanese word that means wave motion vibration. So all thought is a vibration. The chair you're in, the screen we're looking at, they're all different vibrations. You're a different vibration than the environment around you. And he was studying this wave motion vibration as if all thought creates form, and all thought is a vibration, and electricity is a vibration, and water is a conductor of electricity, then perhaps water could demonstrate thought as a vibration. So he didn't come up with that all by himself. There was a gentleman in California that was starting this. Actually, Einstein started this in the 1930s. And he was using radio waves to kill cancer. He found a cure for cancer. Of course, that got squashed. But and then there's been studies, different universities have done studies about plants. This plant right here, if I take care of this plant, I love this plant. If I went and got on an airplane and I hooked this plant up to wired it to a computer to read its wave motion vibration, then this plant is going to be a certain way when I'm next to it. It's going to be a different way when I put it away. It's going to be a different way when I think about it when I'm at 40,000 feet on the way to Columbus, Ohio, as a flight attendant. And so they proved this in labs. And so this is something that he wanted to document in physical form for people to believe them. So here's my classic and most favorite crystal that proves my point. We take doubly distilled water, which is steam that we've captured steam twice, making sure there's no organic or chemical pollution or anything. It's just a clean palette, clean canvas. We put the water in a glass bottle and we drew a heart mark on it, shape of a heart, and then let it sit for 3 hours. Then we take 50 milliliter Petri dishes. We used to use 100 samples. Now we only use 50. And take an eyedropper, which is about 10 milliliters, and drop a 10 milliliter load into the Petri dish, and then throw those samples on a tray and put them in the cryogenic freezer inside a meat locker at freezing temperatures. And so our photographer will have to go in in ski clothes, and he can only stand it to be in there about 30 minutes max before he bails because it's just too cold. Inside the meat locker, we have a high-powered microscope that's got cameras attached to it from the top and from the side. So you can see the multiple dimensions of this crystal. I'm trying to find the picture of the microscope. It's in here somewhere. Here we go. Anyway, so the crystal forms, the water drop has tension when it freezes. Here he is. This is Hiromasa, Dr. Emoto's son. Can you see that well enough?
Yeah.
There we go. Glossy picture's shining. So Hiromasa's in there. He's got a master's degree in Buddhism. And so he knows how to empty his mind, not to contribute to any change of vibration in the form. And the crystals will last about a maximum of 2 minutes from the time they take them out of the freezer, get them, the tray on the table, and get each one filmed. So this heart mark on the water bottle froze like this. Instead of your regular snowflake-shaped crystal, all crystals have six points to them. They're hexagonal, like this. So, and there's never been two alike, which is mind-blowing when you think about how long has the Earth been here, right? Millions and millions of years, and snow has always been here, and no snowflake has been the same as any other. Talk about the magnificence of Creator. So to give an example of how our thought changes our form, when you walk into a room and there's been something awful has happened in there, like a movie theater is a perfect example. You get a mean, nasty, awful, evil devil movie, and it plays before your great Walt Disney movie or something. You go in, you can feel that energy. And I always go in and clear the space with mental prayer, mental prayer. I don't say that out loud to freak people out, but I'm clearing the space because I've learned what that kind of energy can do. So here is a crystal showing, let's do it. The word let's changes the energy of any sentence. Because
now I notice it's Japanese. Or does it make a difference if it's English or any language?
Any language. He's actually done French English, German, Spanish, Italian. There's samples in my books here that I'll show you. The same words said in multiple languages, and there's very little variation. There's, so let's do it in any language is beautiful. Versus the directive, the command, the dominion of man over man, do it. This is the same configuration as Satan and microwave, computer, television. So when you microwave food, this is what happens to the energy. So I stopped using my microwave after he taught me that. I went, whoa. And I did see the pictures of that last night. I wanted to show you those.
So what he was talking about, if you labeled wrote a word on a bottle of water,
mm-hmm.
or you subjected to that bottle of water to a certain sound, music.
Yes. It changes form.
Prayer? Did prayer change it?
Oh, yeah. What I showed you earlier is the prayer, the power of prayer over polluted water. The water is stinky and so foul. And so here's the Fujiwara Dam crystal is absolute evidence of, where's the back of the book here? I folded the book in so many ways. Here you go. So we have this nasty, nasty water with a dead body in it. This is Fujiwara Dam. Every June to July, it stinks with algae. And there was a dead body in the water. They had been dragging the dam for a week almost, just about a week, when our priest went down with Dr. Emoto, and he prayed for a while before a small group gathered. And they prayed, and then right after the prayers, the water had changed form. We didn't know that. We hadn't proved it yet. And a body rises to the surface, absolutely freaking out 2 women who were related to this woman. But that nasty water changed to this after prayer. Beautiful.
Wow.
So it's a morphogenic energy. I wouldn't want to drink that water, without filtering it, because even though it does create a beauty like this, the water's going to be changed. I have some examples of when you take water and like water that's been damaged by a microwave, and then you put love and gratitude on that water and then freeze it again, and it's still deformed, but it's looking much better. Okay, this is water that's gone into a microwave, and that's what happened to it. So it changes at a morphogenetic level. The proteins, the molecules, everything gets damaged. It becomes useless. So let's see if I can find that. There's thousands of pictures.
So did Dr. Emoto equate this to the human body? Because the human body is what?
Absolutely, because the earth is 70% water, and an unborn child is 95% water, and a healthy human being, adult, child, whatever, is 70%. As we age and people don't want to get up and go to the bathroom as often, so they drink less water, their organs start to shrink, things start to go to a lower function, and then they just disappear. They die. And
well, let me ask you a question then, because
sure.
I don't know his thoughts on that. So if labeling a bottle of water changes the molecular structure,
mm-hmm.
people getting tattoos with messages like "born to raise hell" or or "I hate" or something, versus tattooing themselves with something loving, that would have the same effect, right?
Definitely. The clothing you wear. There was a famous blues singer, son. We were in Hollywood. Gary and I were in Hollywood, and he was giving a traditional Native American healing talk. And this wife comes up to me, and Gary was busy talking to the audience after the end of his talk. And she said, my husband has failing kidneys. He has diabetes, and he's very sick. And I said, yeah, look at his shirt. Because I had a brief chance on the stage to talk a little bit about how to further Gary's point that he was talking about our thoughts create form. And the human body is the summation of all the thoughts of your ancestors, your parents, and yourself. All your environment has accumulated in the body through the subconscious and created form. and the water was further evidence of that. So this gentleman was wearing a crucifix that is a beautiful color shirt. It was a teal blue with lots of sparkly small rhinestones on. It was kind of tacky, but at the same time pretty. And there was a skull, not crossbones, just a skull in the center of this cross. And I went, so I told his wife, I said, all right, as a Hado instructor, you asked for advice, I'm going to give you the advice. Your husband's wearing a shirt that will do things to people that send him negative dead energy. Because in America, I know that's an African good symbol, but it's not good in the United States. Because if you're a 70-year-old woman grocery shopping and you see that man's shirt, you think he is a blasphemer, and blaspheme is deadly. And remind me to bring up blasphemy, because there was a huge lesson for the Wind River Indian Reservation with the word blasphemy. So a woman or an older person here in the United States, anyone that is a devout Christian, would look at that as an insult and blasphemy to God, and dark and evil and even satanic and horrible. So every time he wears that in public, he's getting that. I highly advise he take that shirt off, turn it inside out so no one sees it, and he never wears it again, because it is attacking his health. It is attacking the very life in him. Even though in Africa, it represents a total different idea. But here, it's deadly.
So that vibration is changed by the thoughts of the people seeing that. So
it's contributed. Yeah. So the state of our world is the collective of global consciousness throughout time. We created this mess. We can create something better. That's the whole point of Dr. Emoto traveling around the world and giving these messages out to people, that your thoughts are not benign. They're not private either. They're contributory. They actually contribute to the healing and the hope of the world, or the destruction of the world. So I advised my friends who were going to go protest that they use words like hope, love, unity, harmony is better than hate and racism, and have more good words than mentioning the hate and racism. Just things that are more positive versus, defund the cops. You can't totally defund the cops. You can't eliminate the police force. That's ridiculous. So those messages, protesters, and they say F the cops, or things like that. It's very contributory to the darkness they're protesting against. And for example, let's see, I don't think I have to go through. I have several CDs that are loaded, or DVDs that are loaded with CDs are loaded with photographs, like thousands of photographs. So it's been a while since I've gone through all of those. Orion, would you do me a favor and bring me the tuning forks? These guys? Okay, so one of the gifts that Dr. Emoto gave all of his Hado instructors are tuning forks. And this is how important and how critical and how highly detailed our vibrations are. Dr. David Hawkins has written several books, The Eye of the I, Truth versus Falsehood, Power versus Force. I have a whole library of his works here. I took some classes with him. He's a late researcher, doctor. He, love versus hate, I have to versus I get to. See the difference? Thank you, Sadie. People who say, oh God, I gotta get up. Oh, I have to go to work. Oh, geez, another day. That starts the day off at a very, very low frequency. It's like 200 is I'm willing to get out of bed and go to work and at least have a day. And everything underneath that, fear, loathing, resentment, jealousy, all of that goes closer and closer and closer to death. And Dr. Emoto used Dr. Hawkins. Orion, would you get the blue book up there that says Power versus Force? He would use that, you see it between the yellow book and the green and white book, bottom shelf on the left-hand side. dark blue. Power versus force. See the word power? Thank you. I would print these off and hand them out during my lectures, of course, giving Dr. Hawkins credit for this. This is, yeah, I have a lot of books because I love learning. So Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. He's now deceased, and I'll give you an example. The first word is words that calibrate over 200. And the second word that I say will be that which creates death. Abundant, excessive, accepting, rejecting, admitting, denying, agreeable, condescending, approving, critical, attractive, seductive, choosing to, having to, conscious, unaware. Lots of words, and you can find this online. This is, what does it call this? It calls this power patterns in human attitudes. So Dr. Emoto supported his works. And here is an example. Dr. Emoto was pretty funny about this. Which one is which?
Just find out
Okay,
yourself.
this is 440. Well, hang on. 440. This is the one. Okay. 440. It's just a frequency. It's
440 and 442.
this is 440, and this is 440, and this is 442. I will strike the 440 first. See, these two are congruent with each other. They're the same frequency, so this one will start ringing. So do this. That one's ringing. Okay, we'll get that to be quiet. Now, this is just 2 cycles per second more than the 440. This is 440 and this is 442. You can see these. So here's 440. Nothing. So Dr. Emoto would say, 440 and 440, good marriage. 440 and 442, not good marriage. In other words, there's going to be friction in that relationship because even 2 frequencies, 2 cycles more per second can create a bit of an off pattern. But then he also noted that relationships, marriage is an opportunity to expand love and learn more about yourself inside a relationship, because that relationship will reflect that which is healthy and strong in you and that which is weak and needs work on. So it helps with introspection. So these tuning forks were made in Germany. My grandson discovered yesterday. I never did really look. He goes, these are from Germany, Anna. And so, all right. We went to Dr. Emoto's group. We went up to Yellowstone because they would close the park due to the lava flow being so close to the Earth's surface that the sidewalks were too hot for sneakers and were melting sneakers. And so it goes off at the same time every day, Old Faithful. And we were there to do blessings. These are medicines that I was handing to Dr. Emoto to throw into the wind, which would go and carry over to, and he and I both threw the medicines into the wind to help cool the earth. Simultaneously, the Native Americans, this is a Lakota Sioux princess, the daughter of the chief. Here's Dr. Emoto. I just have a stack of random pictures here. Here's Dr. Emoto giving me my certification on June 5th, 2005. And here's the Shinto priest that taught us a lot about frequencies in meditation. He actually carried a wooden bat, and he gave us a meditation cushion to sit on. And we sat for a full morning, hours in meditation. And if I tilted forward at all, he'd come and smack me in the back with this little board thing. So you wanted, the spine to be completely straight, and the head not to come forward because you're bending the spine. So you want it back a little bit, just sit perfectly still. And because this was something new to us, our bodies would begin to relax, and he'd go, bam. He didn't hit me hard, but it was like, whoa, I can still feel that. This is Dr. Emoto and myself
Just startling.
in Tucson during one of his Hado schools. I have many more pictures. I have pictures of you with Dr. Emoto and with Gary. I just don't have them in hard print, so I'll have to work on that. We'll have to do it.
Well, shame on you, Linda. That's what everybody was tuning in for.
Well, I have you on all my software files, you know, on my computer, my phone.
All right, so why don't you tell people about when I was there, we had that dinner, and then shortly thereafter, we went with a small group of people. We went to I don't know if it was the Navajos or the Hopi.
Hopi.
It was the Hopis. They're having a water conference. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. There was a collective of Hopi elders that were working with the university up north in Flagstaff, Arizona, Northern University of Arizona, Northern Arizona, NAU, Northern Arizona University. And they invited people from all around the world. They invited a Catholic priest, a Jewish rabbi. They invited people who were experts, professionals on studying water and its movement through Earth, how it creates a force that alters the Earth's shape, and absolute scientists, hydrolysis, and people from all different cultures. And the question of the whole seminar, or the whole series, the panel, the science panel, science and religion panel, was, what do you know of grandmother water? And so Mother Earth, Father Sun, and grandmother water. There is no life without water. And which brings me to the word blasphemy. When we were up there in Yellowstone at the Wind River Indian Reservation, one of the largest reservations in the United States and has the most water of any reservation. And the elders were in debate with each other, actually almost conflict, about bottling the water and selling the water to create profits to help fund school repair and new schools being built on the res. So the grandmothers were arguing with the elder men, and I mean, there's this conflict. So I warned Dr. Emoto. I said, the elder men, the chief, and all the head council will sit in row 1. They will fold their arms. They will cross, which is totally crossing your body, which is in body reading is a shutdown. They will put their legs straight out in front of them and cross them at the ankles. They'll put their chin down to their chest. They will close their eyes and will not look at you while you're talking. Why? They're listening to your hado, your wave motion vibration, to see if you're lying or telling the truth. Visually, they do not need to see you. White people need to see you to tell if you're telling the truth or lie. But these elders have learned to listen to your breath, how you speak, and the vibration of your voice to see if you're telling the truth. I said, when you put the slide up blasphemy and you explain it, they're going to get whiplash because their heads are going to go, what? And the problem is going to be solved. And so Dr. Emoto smiled and chuckled. He thought this is going to be great. He could hardly wait. So we get to this slide, and it shows 3 Japanese characters, 1, 2, 3, towered on top of each other. And then this water crystal that isn't very good looking. And he said, this is the ancient Japanese word of blasphemy. The characters, they're very old. And the water slide of blasphemy, it's not very good looking. And a couple of them opened their eyes and looked at it and then put their heads back down. And he said, these characters are 3 different words that equal the word blasphemy. It's to sell water. Bam, they all did that. Problem solved. They were never going to sell water. They would never blaspheme God. And he said, if you need funds, then you pray, but you don't sell water. He answered the big question. This huge debate that had been going on in the rest for a while. The conference was about what do we know about grandmother water? And everyone gave their clinical, scientific, religious experience of water. And then as the conference proceeded, there was more and more information coming around. And it got to the point where everyone got humble. Well, most people got humble and and said the chief, he asked, president of the council, he asked, now what do you know of grandmother water? And on the second day, and he said, we know nothing about grandmother water. Will you teach us? Which is the Native American way. It's like, if you walk in and tell your credentials about who you are and what you've done and all your alphabet letters behind your name, they will shut down. They're just going to wait for you to shut up and leave. They'll sit there, they'll listen to your stuff, but they won't take it in because you're arrogant. And so that's why there's such a difficult time on Native American reservations that with teaching. And our friend Gary would say, I never teach anyone anything. I share what I have experienced, and it's up to you to decide what you do with it. So Dr. Emoto was still working on that part. And he had a message that was it was a big job for him. Oh, here's another example that I showed Orion last night that was quite interesting. Now remember, this is doubly distilled water, steam that's captured, and it's captured twice, pure as can be. So we wrote the words, you're beautiful, and that's how the steam crystals showed up. Then the exact same water from the same bottle, we changed it and we said, you're dirty, and it showed up like that. Instead of a snowflake. Dr. Emoto said, this is bigger than me, it's gotta be God. And I can't tell you why the water does that, other than the energy of you're dirty is something that our conscious mind finds unappealing and a negative. And so the water being a conductor of vibration, a conductor of electricity, and all thought is a vibration / electricity. We're electrical beings. We've input that message into the water changes form. So we change form with our words, what music we listen to, when we hear the news, all of that can change the water at a morphogenetic level in our body and can create dis-ease in the body. So it's another point, prayer, meditation are mandatory to disconnect from the day's dark shadow that's hit us. And even though if we don't listen to the news, we're still riding inside this consciousness wave. We've got radio waves, massive amounts. We have EMF waves from all houses around us that have wireless devices. We have television waves. We have people thinking and talking and or writing and creating. And so we are not disconnected. We are so disconnected. We're equally disconnected as a drop of water in the ocean is separate from the ocean. Can't get away from it. So it's really important to shield ourselves with white light, rainbow light, healing, and protective shield. Ask for protection. The instant you ask, before you even say the words or think them, your intention is already known to the universe, and that already happens. And the water showed that. We've got book after book after book here. Let's see, got some more. Oh, this is interesting. He put the word human cloning. This will be interesting. So the human body, let's do truth. Here's truth. That's truth. Beautiful. And this is human cloning. Oh, I got it centered.
It looks like a ring.
See how it looks kind of like metallic, robotic? It's like, yeah. God didn't make humans to look like that. Let's see. I don't know if he has a human to show, just human. Oh, here's the word blasphemy. This shocked the elders, tribal leaders. The center one, hang on, let's do this. Okay, blasphemy in Japanese, blasphemy in English, and then filth. The top one is blasphemy in Japanese, the middle one is blasphemy in English, and the bottom one is filth. So here's blasphemy in Japanese, and he showed them this one, blasphemy in English, and this one is filth. Now, when you talk about the universe or angels, there's always this round center. Where's my angel pictures? Oh, where's that?
So blasphemy actually means in Japanese, the three characters, to sell water.
Water. And here's why. There is no life without water. And the one who controls water controls life. If you try to control and take over God's job, what does that mean? I mean, that's blasphemy. So if you are selling water, you know, when I go into a hotel room on an overnight and I see like $5 for a little plastic bottle of water, I went, and I just think of that, you know, I go flashing back to Wind River Reservation with their faces, and if they only knew. And I've actually said a few things to, like, hey, is your manager hanging around if I have time before the bus comes? And I go, you know what? I work with some Japanese scientists, and the word blasphemy is 3 characters in Japanese. It's ancient as can be, and it's to sell water. I say, you guys, don't be so greedy. $5 for this little icky bottle of water? Come on. And their eyes just get big, and sometimes they ask questions, and sometimes they just go, weird lady. It's okay. My karma's clean because I told them. But hang on, there's the pictures of angels. The word angel and the word devil or Satan. I should have marked these. Okay, here we go. Here is the word angel. Notice there's like a halo of light, and then there's that black hole, like the universe, like infinity.
It's like diamonds. Okay.
Yeah, like beautiful, beautiful halo. And then there's Satan.
Wow.
So these spiritual pictures, you know, like war. Let's see if I can find war. Oh, here's another one. Here's, you make me sick, I will kill you. And I'm going to say, clear, cancel, and delete that I ever spoke those words. I love and honor you. So, but this is what that looks like. Do you see a soldier?
Yeah, it looks like a body. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a soldier with a gun. So it's like, oh man. So you fool in English has a different meaning than you fool in Japanese. MFer would be pretty equivalent to fool in Japanese. But in English, it looks a lot like heavy metal music. And I'll show you heavy metal in a second. And then that's in English. And this is you fool in Japanese. I mean, total annihilation and destruction. It has a lot of, there's a lot of antiquity in that word that creates, okay, here's the example of foreign languages. Okay, so here's thank you in Japanese. And then I gotta get up and look where you're looking. All right, not now. Here's, this one is in English. The second one is in German. That's German. And then this one is in Korean. The one to the right is in,
Italian.
can you see it? Oh, it's Italian, yeah. And then French. Let me see if I can get you. This is awkward. Okay, so Italian, French, merci, and thank you in Chinese. So the structure of a water crystal is always going to be 6 arms and hexagonal. So you can see there's 6 arms and a hexagonal shape within, regardless. And yet there's never been 2 that are the same. So he's got songs like Gregorian chant, Amazing Grace, Gregorian chant.
Playing the music for it, right?
Yeah, he plays the music and just leaves the water with the music for a few hours. This is Amazing Grace. And it's like hands praying up and down. Some prayers, you know, like this, meditation, some prayers are like this. And something about prayer. I went to Tucson to help with the 4th Hado School. Is it the 4th Hado School? I don't know. It's one of the Hado schools. And I got there, and it was a crowded classroom with everybody seated at like student desks with computers. And they were trying to change the water at the front of the class, and they were holding hands in between desks and computers. And I went, oh, no, 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 no. Dr. Emoto was in the hospital with gout in his foot and unable to attend the class that time. And I said, excuse me. And I introduced myself. And they said, oh, I said, I would like to make a suggestion. You're interfering with the Hado that you wish to have by having all these computers on and in your space. We need to turn all electronic devices off and give the water a chance. So they all agreed. And we went to the back of the room where there was a big, large, empty space. We had the water in the center, and everyone held hands. And there was a device in the water that would change the frequency, show us the frequency change in the water. So when they were holding hands, it was a change. It was a positive looking change, but it wasn't that great. And, you know, it's a lot of healing circles and church organizations, groups will hold hands and pray as if we're connected. But just the fact that we're in a circle, we are connected. And the most powerful way to change the water was to not do this, not do this, but to give space for the universe. So you'd like, your hands would be like this. I still have pain in the shoulder from my car accident. It's like, arms giving me an issue. So you're like this, and your hands are like open to let love flow through, versus I'm intense about this. I'm not open to the infinite possibilities, but just relaxing and letting that space be open. The water changed magnificently. So here's another humbling lesson for me. The fact that that showed up and it proved true, my head said, oh, I was right. And the water went, not touching anybody. I'm in the circle and I'm thinking to myself, oh, kind of like, I didn't think it this way, but it was the energy of neener, 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 showed you kind of an energy. That wasn't what I was thinking. I went, oh, I was right. To me, the water's reception of that was neener, 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 I'm right, I'm an arrogant idiot. And so the water, the meter just went, and he goes, something's happening to the water. And I went, that's me, I'm sorry. It's me. I arrogantly thought, I was right, that it changed the water. And they go, I said, please forgive me. And the water went back up. So we have no idea how powerful we are in co-creating our reality. We just don't. Some indigenous cultures do, because they haven't left the earth. They still sleep on the earth. They still, no, my daughter cannot be calling me right now.
Okay.
All right. But we're going to wrap up here anyway. But what's the final thoughts you want to give people that are watching this? And can you tell them where they could get a hold of this organization if they want to learn more about it?
Hado.net will provide, and there's a lot of, you go to Hado on YouTube, you're going to find all types of videos, bits and pieces of lectures given by different Hado instructors around the world. Dr. Emoto's works, some of that will be online. Hado.net is how you can contact them, ask them if they're having any continuing classes. Dr. Emoto sadly passed away a few years ago. He fell in China, was aerovac to Gotanda, Japan, was put into the hospital and it developed viral pneumonia and passed away. He went into a coma. He was in a coma about 4 or 5 days. He woke up at midnight. The family was all there. And he looked around the room, said arigato, and closed his eyes and died. So his son, Hiromasa, Hiro, H-I-R-O, has basically taken over the organization. I am a member of the International Hado Membership Board and had heard nothing about any meetings or any continuing stuff, but they do have Facebook pages and YouTube and Hado.net. So I've not kept up with it. I've had other things going on, but there's a lot of information out there. You can get a hold of me. My email address is letsasklinda at yahoo.com. If you want to call me, my phone number is 602-770-6073. I'm open to talking to anyone who has questions. And the summation of all this is we can get tangled up in media, the events of the world right now. And it's time to monitor our thinking. When we get panicky, time to breathe. Breath is probably the most healing and purifying thing to reorganize your frequency and your energy. Step outside barefoot into the grass or dirt or onto stone or gravel, any way to connect with the earth. We're so disconnected from the earth, and we proved this with the water. The water showed us a lot. Indigenous people who are still connected to the earth, they don't have cancer. They just don't. They don't get sick until we come in with McDonald's and other things and change their culture completely. And then, oh, heck breaks loose with health issues. When we feel upset, then one of the most asking powerful questions, my friend Gary, the Potawatomi man, he's a traditional healer. White people call him a medicine man. He said, the word why does not exist in any indigenous tongue. 2/3 of the world does not have the word why. The word why actually comes from white Western European cultures. And it's blasphemy because it's challenging God's intelligence. Why did this child die? Or why is this happening? And ultimately, all things serve the higher good and love's expansion. Fertilizer grows flowers. So when you find yourself dealing with negative thoughts or fearful thoughts or anxiety, because if you look around, then go back into center, take a deep breath. Breathing from the chest is panic, fight, or flight. Breathing from down in the belly button, trying to expand your waistline and keeping it all there like a baby in a cradle. You look at a baby sleeping and their chest never rises unless they cry. But if they're sleeping, their belly's going up, their belly's going down. And that's where we need to breathe. And just calm yourself and ask the powerful questions. What is love asking me to know now this is happening? How am I to serve in the name of God's love and that love's expansion in this world today? How can I serve love's growth in the midst of all this in the place I'm in now? You know, some of us can't leave the building. There are people who have been confined, as yourself, and you're doing this. You're creating videos that can give people something to view and to think about and to contemplate on that is not nerve-wracking and rattling. It's peaceful. It's expansion of love. With knowledge comes power. With power comes the responsibility and the call to action. And we take action where we can, when we can, and still stay safe. So asking powerful questions about where you are with your thinking. Is this loving thinking or is this destructive thinking?
Thank you, Linda. As always, I didn't have to ask much. I did follow one piece of your advice. I do expand my my waistline the longer this shutdown goes.
Yeah.
So I'm doing something right. Anyway, all right. We thank you, and if people have questions, they can get a hold of you with the information you gave them. And I look forward to the next person I'm going to be interviewing. I got 2 or 3 people lined up, including my friend Shadow Stevens, who's coming up. I'm going to do a next interview in the next few weeks, and a couple other people. So check in on this station, subscribe if you haven't, and this is your chance to have conversations like I do with my friends. And I hope that this it was helpful to people at different levels. And bye to you and your grandson. Why don't you introduce your grandson as you go off here?
Come on over. This is Orion, and he's going to turn 10 on the 29th of this month. Huh.
Happy birthday. All right.
Yeah.
All right. God bless you, and God bless those that are tuning in. And me and Linda, we'll be talking all the time. So the rest of you, hope you enjoyed the video.